Bryson just can't catch a break. Ari discovers himself, and David breaks up the crew. And we also have a special guest. Come on back. Let's talk about some things.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What is up, everyone? What is up?
I just cannot believe you just did that.
I know. That's sometimes you gotta mix things up. Just come in with the people like
energy.
right? You know,
He DJ Tamir. He comedian Tamir. He hosts Tamir. He's not in nobody's box.
I know. There we go. We got the horns too. Man, like where are we up in like the Jamaica dance hall? You know, like that's what I'm talking about. Hey, thank you everyone again for joining us this week. We are talking Boomerang, season 1, episode 6, Homecoming. We had a really good episode tonight.
We did.
Before we get into anything, first of all, actually, let me back it up a little bit. We're going to have our special segments a little later, a little speak on it. And I want to start, before we get into that, I want to introduce my illustrious panel.
Hey guys, I'm Missy Vernier.
Hey everyone, it's your girl Nicole Hutchins.
And what's up, y'all? It's Portia Carter.
And it's your boy, your host, moderator, Tanir Williams. And today, we got a special guest for y'all. This is just for you guys, the writer of tonight's episode. Please welcome Miss Kendra Jo. In the house.
Hi.
Welcome to the set.
And I have to say, I'm the co-writer because I wrote
Okay.
along with my friend, dear sister, Raquel Baker. She couldn't be here.
Okay.
But yes. I
Raquel,
stand
we
on
give you a
behalf.
shout out as well.
Yeah.
Raquel.
Kendra will hold it down for the both of you
Yes,
tonight.
absolutely.
Wow, good episode tonight. Like I said, the episode was called Homecoming, so which kind of took me back to some of my college days there. So before we get into that, let's just get overall thoughts.
My overall thoughts were, I like how they brought in that whole dynamic between Bryson and Simone, because I felt like we were missing that before, and now we like understand like where their whole relationship started.
I agree with you. I definitely liked the whole dynamic that they brought in, and I really enjoyed watching this episode because it brought back some memories for my homecoming. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, this episode, a whole bunch of college feel. The fact that they're at a HBCU, and I went to a HBCU,
Yep.
was just like, oh, I know what y'all on.
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
lit, and I loved every minute of it.
There we go. No, I felt the same way. A lot of it just reflecting on what you guys just said. I was right there. It was definitely a fun one, and got some more background on some of the relationships, why people are why they are today, or the way that they interact with each other. Got a little bit of that. So I know you co-wrote the episode, but any overall thoughts from you in terms of just going through this process? And
I was absolutely honored to do it. I also went to HBCU, and I Hampton University.
Hey,
I
come
graduated.
HU.
Yeah. And college just means so much. Like, you know, like you find your tribe. And you're also finding yourself a lot through those years. We were like on tweet and social media, and I just was looking at the comments, and of course everyone's chiming in about Simone and all of that. But I remember those years, man. You were really trying to figure yourself out.
Yeah.
It's such a learning curve, and you go back and look now, you're like, what was I thinking? But it's that's where a lot of your wisdom comes from. So you have those experiences. But it was fun to write. Raquel and I actually thought of it in like 2 or 3 hours, because her and I are just like the same when it comes to a lot of our life experiences.
right.
But we were just so like happy to just go back and just tell a story that many people could relate to.
I think that was one of my favorite things, the relatability of it. You were just like you said, everything from the when they had the booth set up, it's like you said, the dances, the parties, not being able to get in, play, just, the late nights, everything was just, I was very much transported back to that. So we'll have a good time talking about this. First thing I want to start out with, or kind of our first topic here, my boy Bryson. He just cannot catch a break here. I mean, we see him in the up-to-date time. I mean, he was still, well, I guess last episode, he and Simone kind of had a little parking lot romance.
Lip lock.
Yeah, there we go. But up until that point, it was just like, oh man. So I'm thinking he's just been going through it for a while now, like going back to college, you know, just like, come on, man. Like, I'm putting it out there. And Simone is just like, you know, friend zoning him.
He's a little challenged in that area. That is definitely something he has to work on.
Yeah. And, you know, and we were actually talking about it before the show even started, just talking about the friend zone. I know for me, like I said, I could really relate to a lot of stuff, Bryson, because I was like, man, Bryson, I've been there, man. When you put your heart out on the line and you like, I'm trying, am I not sending out the vibe here? They're just like, you're my best friend, right? You know that. And I'm like,
poor thing.
And you hold it in, like, because I'm not one to like blow up or like get all, you know, it's just like, just hold it like, yeah, okay. Like, you know, how he went to the bathroom at the end and you could just tell he was just kind of defeated. Yeah. Or even when she was on the phone. Yeah. So, like I said, that was for me. But I never think of that in terms of the flip side, like on the girl side of things. Like, I always feel like girls are the ones friend zoning.
Yeah, we don't know what that feels like. So, I you know, honestly, with that part, I grew up with a lot of boys in my family, and the women, they have the conversation of, man, she said I'm just her friend. She's like a friend. Like, we know what it is to deliver that to a guy, like to say, yo, you're just a friend to me. But we don't know the impact of how it affects a brother's self-esteem. Man. You know, like he's like really like in love with it. I know, like, I've heard guys say it was that one girl that they loved so much and she friend zoned him, and that forever like put a wall around his heart. It broke his heart. Wow. You know, like, because it's like, I'm putting my feelings out there to you and now you just shut me down. And that's why you see him in the end kind of get up like, well, that's a wrap, you know, and he just goes on about his business. He could have said like, wait, what do you mean? Like, you know, but he just was like, forget it, you know, and just kind of like close that chapter.
And I think it's one of those things because especially when you think there's the chance, or you're like, hey, I'm in the door, you know, because they were having the whole conversation the night before, and he's probably thinking, like I said, I've been there. I've been there, where you're just like, okay, we're making inroads, and then it's like, no, like, you were never there.
I've been there before too, honestly.
Dang, shed some light on that
portion. So I have been one of the unfortunate women to be on the other side of that, with being in the friend zone, and it's the first time it ever happened to me in my life. I was just like, oh dang, hold on, what? Excuse me, you know. But honestly, as a woman, it made me feel undesirable. It made me feel like I wasn't enough. It made me feel like I wasn't someone to be attracted to and love, or have that reciprocity with that person that I was giving it out to. Right. And it hurt. Wow. It hurt bad. I went through a whole year and a half of that hurt. Like, wow. It took a long time to recover, and I think I just finally released it, you know, recently. And that's hard. So I reason with guys now, because I've been on the other end of that. Now I reason with the guy like, if I'm not feeling you, don't even come close to me, because I don't even want to put you in that position to even friend zone you, because I know how much hurt that I had to go through as a woman in my emotions. It was a lot.
Did it end the friendship?
This guy is such a great guy that he was still my friend, even though he knew I was in love with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and even though I had to, like, I cannot believe I'm sharing this on air. I hope he does not watch it.
That's what we do
But
here.
even though I had to, like, go through my own healing process, like, it turned from being in love to, like, anger. Like, I resented him. I, you know, had so much animosity in my heart toward him, because I felt like, dang, like, I'm here for you. I love you. I support you. Like, I thought we was like this. We together all the time. How can you not see me the way I see you? I didn't understand it. So I had to go through not being his friend anymore on my end so that I could heal. But when it all, you know, once I released it, and now that everything's back, like, he never stopped being my friend. And we're still cool to this day.
Wow, that's good.
That's real deep.
It's crazy.
And it's interesting because seeing what he went through, you know, going through college. In the first couple episodes, we kind of see where she gives, you know, he's just always like, oh, what's she doing? Who's this guy? You know, just really just all over. So you're just like, man, this dude just probably endures heartbreak after heartbreak, you know, but he keeps coming back, you know?
People may not have caught on to this. Remember, he said to her, when he talked about Prisoner, he said, a man with a whole lot more money than me.
Yeah.
And for him, like, he knows that a huge part of his manhood is definitely qualified, but by his resources, his money, what he has access to. And here comes Camden calling, and he's like, yep, here we go. Well, I'm like, it just kind of like, it just sealed it for him. Like, I cannot compete with that.
Right.
You know, so that for him as a man, just
but my question is, why does he keep allowing her to treat him in such, like, not as a bad way, but it's just, to me, it just seems like they're friends, but she treats him so, like, not his worth to me. And I just, maybe he just allows it to happen just because he wants to be around her still. Maybe he just hasn't come to terms with that.
Yeah, and he basically like worships her father.
Yeah.
You know, he desperately like wants to, you know, because I know Raquel could speak ad nauseum about how so many men, because she comes from an advertising background. She was an advertising major. I was a PR major.
Oh wow.
And
Come on, PR.
right, and she talks about a lot about how many men she actually knows who still they look up to Marcus Graham, even though he's a fictional character. There's even a Marcus Graham Foundation. Like, there's actual people who have dedicated, like, advertising specifically to what basically Eddie Murphy created in 1992.
Wow.
Because we've never seen that, like, you know, on screen before. You know, like, what? Like, advertising? And so much of, you know, our economy, especially consumerism, is based largely on the black dollar, you know? And so he just, you know, looks up to him so much. And he looks at Simone like, you have, like, the perfect, like, what, like, I would die. And a lot of it is him really, I think, like, desperately pining for fatherhood as well, which we don't really get into this season. But you don't really know the story of him and who's his father and what's his deal and why does he admire her dad so much versus his own father. You know, so, yeah, so maybe we'll explore that next season.
Wow.
No, that's, like you said, that's great. I love how, like, each episode, like, we had talked about in previous shows, how you leak in like a little more, because we're always like, well, I want to know about so and so and why are they like that, you know? And you guys each kind of like give you a little more. Here's a little more, you know. But like you said, it was I was just feeling for him on those, because I was like, man, I've been there. Like, I mean, I'm like you, Portia. I can think of specific situations where there's like high school, college, where you were just like, and then the funny part is, like you said, at least I feel from the man's point of view, it's like you gotta, like, you can't show that emotion, like, even though it's just like, ugh, but, you know, you're like, yeah, no.
You're right about that.
Of course,
you can't,
you know,
because...
cool. Like, we good. Like, I knew that. And then you go cry, like, in your bed, like.
Yeah, but suppressing it brings the unhealthy outcome of it, though. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to piggyback off what you were saying. Like, as a guy, you can't really show that emotion. And the reason why I say that is because I friend zone someone, like,
They're probably
bad.
in the chat right now. Like,
no, and he was crying in front of me, like he was like bawling, crying, and I was like it was like that,
like
and I'm just like,
girl,
yes, he was, and I'm like, okay, like, I'm sorry that this really affected you like this, but you're not making it any better. Like, if you were trying to, like, this is not helping right now.
That's a turnoff.
It's a huge turnoff.
It
was a huge turnoff, and I'm just like,
I hope you were in a public setting. Were you out? Because, like,
no, we were in a private. We were in a private setting, so nobody could really witness it. Yeah, no one could witness it, and then just kind of being on the receiving end of being friend zone. To this day, I feel like he was like the love of my life. That's what I feel like. But in terms of why, I guess I had to be friend zone, honestly, it had more to do with like timing. Because, you know, if you want to be with somebody, right?
That's true.
Maybe they're not ready to be with you, or vice versa. Or every time he came to try to want me, I wasn't ready. Or
the timing was off.
The timing was just off, and
so he's friend zoned you because the timing was bad.
The timing, and then he felt like, oh, well, you're not ready, and this, and that, and I'm just like, then I guess I tried to give him an ultimatum. That didn't work, and so we were just in two different places and spaces in our life.
Question.
But we are close friends to this day. We are. So he's married now, but we're still close.
I'm just gonna let my brain go back to the tears.
Okay.
Quick question. What weren't you ready for? I'm just curious.
You know, to be honest with you, I was really insecure at the time. I felt like I wasn't good enough for him. And when I told him that, he was very upset.
You told him that?
No, I told him because we were no. But this was after we realized, like, okay, because we kept going back and forth, like, how come we didn't end up together? How come we didn't end up together? And I finally told him, like, he was like, when I was ready to come to you and, you know, to be exclusive and everything, how come you just didn't? I was just like, honestly, I didn't feel like I was good enough for you. I felt like you needed this type of woman. I felt like you wanted the woman who is this picture perfect woman who's the housewife and all this stuff. And he was like, that's not, he's like, I don't care about all that. Like, so anyway.
Man.
That's what happened. Yeah. Still love that man to this day.
This is like the soul-bearing episode. See what you brought out and everything?
You brought it all up. I just want to say one
like...
thing on that. Just one thing. Just let me say it. Women, we are definitely the prize. I know we hear that a lot. But when we don't know our worth, when we don't know that we're the prize, when we don't know that we are enough for whoever man that God has for us, then we put ourselves in a position to be abused. Had you even gotten that relationship thinking that you weren't enough, you would have let him walk all over you.
Yeah. Amen.
And it would have been trauma.
He's not a bad guy at all. Like,
but I'm just glad you didn't, though. Like, I'm grateful that it was bad timing, too.
Yeah.
But
I see exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, I just don't want us women to think like that. You know, especially us strong black women. Come on. Let's just walk with our heads held high and know that even though this man may not be in your direction, you got your own lane, and somebody gonna get put in that lane that's gonna be just for you.
Amen.
Yeah, because we essentially teach people how to treat us. Yeah, and you look at like Simone in at that time of her life, and you see how Prisoner treated her.
Oh, it was horrible.
Yeah. You know, it was just very like just abusive, I guess you could say, in every way possible. But had you put her with Bryson at that time, it probably would have been an even more devastating heartbreak.
Right.
You know, because she's still not really figuring herself. She hasn't figured herself out yet. Right. So she's still trying to figure that out. And she's fragile. She's vulnerable. You know, she's a lot of things that right now she's not ready. Because, I mean, Bryson's a good man, we think, you know, because he is so, showing of his emotions and all of that. But like you said, I like what you said about it's a good thing it didn't happen then, because if you didn't feel like you were worthy, then a man will then equate that to he can treat you in the way that you feel about yourself.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
Oh, it makes perfect sense. Yeah.
So much sense.
Well, AfterBuzzers, before we want to let you know that you are worth something to us. So because of that, we have a little announcement for you guys.
Yes. Hey, guys, before we move on to our next topic, we just wanted to say thank you for making us the ESPN of TV talk. For us to continue to grow, we could use your help. If you're on YouTube right now, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. And if you're on iTunes, please give us a 5-star rating. But no matter where you are, leave us a comment so you can get involved in the conversation. Being a part of AfterBuzz TV has meant so much to all of us, I'm sure, right? You would agree with that.
Yes, sir.
And we truly appreciate you supporting us in doing so and what we love. Don't forget to tell your friends and keep enjoying our shows.
5 stars on iTunes. Let's do that.
Yes.
So, man, I really enjoyed that Bryson segment. Again, thank you, Kendra Jo, for that little nugget that we could dive into.
Y'all did an amazing job.
For sure.
Thank you.
For sure.
Because this show brought back a lot of memories.
Oh, man. Now, on the flip side of things, we got my boy Ari that I want to kind of dive into. Because you know what? We hadn't really seen Ari in like a couple, I think, episodes. He would kind of... I know last week I think it was David, and before that I think it was the girls' trip. So we hadn't really seen Ari in like a little bit. So I was glad he was kind of back in the picture. And so we kind of get his background. First of all, the way you guys introduced him when he first comes up to the booth, I was like, wait, what is it? He's like, come on, man, we're always going speech and debate. I think. I was like, wait, what? Because I'm thinking of Ari right now, like this dude
was so smart.
Right.
That was like kind of the clean, like, he was like, come on, let's go. We're going to be late.
Something happened to him.
And then, so we see him kind of, just going about doing his thing, seemingly living the just kind of straightforward college life, doing a little bar bouncing or, and he has his episode with, or I should say his encounter with...
Guy with the braids.
The guy with the braids. I don't think he had a name.
With the straight back.
Yeah.
Straight backs.
Yeah, let's call him straight back.
That's a good one, yeah.
And, it's kind of like him coming into like I said, kind of discovering himself, a little bit, because, of course, he kind of played the machismo role at the beginning. Like, nah, man, I ain't being with no, give him the crazy look. I ain't being with no dude, like all this stuff. Yeah. They end up getting the ride home, and then, boom, lays a kiss on him. And then he kind of has that moment afterwards, though, where he's kind of sitting in the car, like, and he's kind of processing everything. And I think that was kind of the initiation of the Ari that we know. It was like after that, like, So when you guys were doing that, I was talking to Kendra as we were watching the episode, and I was like, yeah, you guys just be going hard on in terms of like with the scene and because it's like you kind of know it's coming. Like when they're in the car, you're like, oh, and they go in and do it, and I was just like, wow, I just commend you guys for like you guys don't shy away from anything on this show, So whether it's Rocky and Tia, or with Aria and his scene. So when you guys are in the writers' room, or you and Raquel are going over that. Like what kind of like either input or like was there a discussion like how far are we gonna go like on this, or kind of developing that story?
Ari's story? Yeah, I think it was seeing him have his first kiss, and I talked to Raquel about this. I said, him kissing a man is like him kissing someone for the first time. And I wrote that, I was like, okay, I know what it was like for me to kiss a guy for the first time, and how you just like, okay, am I going to do it? Am I going to initiate it, or am I going to like receive it, or like, do I need to get on my tiptoes, or do I need to open my mouth? Like, it's like all these things going through your mind. And I remember I was thinking, I said, well, this is a man who's exploring his sexuality. Then this is going to be like his first kiss all over again.
Yeah. This
is very different. This is not kissing a woman. This is kissing someone that has a beard like you, maybe, or you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just thinking, I'm being really honest. Like, he's taking a shot at something that maybe it's been in his mind. Of course it's been in his mind, but he's maybe never verbalized it. And because that opportunity was there and they were private, no one else was there. It was, the climate was right. It was raining. You got Whitney Houston on, baby, you give good love. You can't go wrong. You're like, okay, I might as well try. And that's the thing. Like, he just, Ari's pretty aggressive. He's an aggressor in a way where he's just like going to say exactly what's on his mind. He's going to do whatever comes into his spirit to do. He's supposed to be from Compton. He's like the only one in his family who's like going out there trying to do the right thing, go to college and all of that. So he has his whole hood on his back, but at the same time, there's a part of him that he's also exploring as a man that's, fluid or whatever you want to call it. And so writing that scene basically was more so about showing a man who is kind of tussling with that and how he takes that initiative, that first kiss. And yeah, it was really cool. I mean, I don't know what that's like to, kiss the same sex, but I've always wanted to put myself in another person's shoes, if you can say, and empathize with that experience. And just give because I have gay people in my family and everything. And so I'm like, okay, tell me what it was like the first time you can like I'm calling, like hitting all
this. That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
You got like some type of background stories from other people's experiences, because I have a lot of gay people in my family too, and I have a lot of gay friends, but I have never seen the start of somebody going gay. Like I've never seen the transition. It's always just, I'm gay. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I pop up and you gay. Like I never seen how it happened. So for y'all to show how that transpired, like the seed that was planted and how it grew just in that moment, it was a lot. Kudos to y'all for that. But I did want to know, like, did y'all play off of somebody else's experience, or how did y'all come up with that?
Yeah, not necessarily. I just basically I talked to like friends and things like that, but then I just kind of like played it in a moment of, because basically it's a spinoff of the actual, like, they're together for sophomore year and they're in there in that common area, and they're like, well, where's Ari? It's a storm outside, but Ari is still like hustling. He's like, I gotta pay for my tuition. I ain't got no scholar. I still gotta make ends meet. I gotta pay for my textbooks, whatever. And he's working the door at the club, And so I'm like, okay, so if that's the case, then it's gonna be a gay night, and this is gonna be the moment where we're gonna see him take that, shot and explore that part of himself. Yeah. And it's even being honest about him truly embracing it, or is he like teetering along the edge because he doesn't want to fully embrace it. That could be that about him too.
That's
you know what I'm
what's
saying?
going on in my head, just based on obviously from the initial hesitation when he's coming on to him. You know what I'm saying? And by the way, I would just want to say he's bold for coming on to him because reactions are different. You don't know what reaction you're gonna get. That's why I'm like, whoa.
Listen,
he don't care. He's
real bold.
Have you tried? Like I'm like, okay.
How do you know?
Right, for real. I'm just like, goodness. And so it was like, he puts on that tough like nah or whatever. But then it's like, now he's curious now. You know what I mean? And then in the car scene, that reaction after it happened, it was like a sense of relief for him. That's what I saw in his face.
It was
like, oh my gosh,
I just did that.
Yeah.
So.
It was like a sigh of relief.
And it's funny though because you see him like in the previous episode. I mean, he's still like throwing game at girls and stuff. So when I saw that look on his face, it was almost like that wasn't that bad. Like I'm not full blown like going, but it was just like, okay, well, that wasn't, that wasn't too bad. Right. Like I still like girls, but this wasn't that bad, type thing. And going back to your point, when in terms of the reaction, you don't know, like especially knowing his background, that could have been a real bad, like if you don't get up off me, like type thing, like ready to fight type stuff. Like those type of people, like if you even hint, like anything, like.
But a lot of my gay friends said that very, like they call it toxic masculinity, very hyper aggressive men who are straight presenting. A lot of that is just a decoy because later it's a let me holler at you, but on the DL type thing. No, seriously, like a lot of them have said like guys will be extra like aggressive and angry but it's not because they're like so offended
because you cut them off guard.
It's like it's like, do you see me? Like, do you know that I desire that a little bit? Like, do you see me? Like, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of them have shared that with me. Like, some guys, they act all like that. Wow. But behind closed doors, it's trying to like cover up for that.
Crazy. That is crazy. Yeah, no, that was like you said in terms of that. That whole situation, that whole scene, and going forward, and even seeing him now, like I said, he's just a funny dude. Actually, what I was going to ask you was, when you guys are going through, and I've always wondered this, just about not even on this show, but just in other shows when there's like gay characters. Do you guys actually cast like gay people in real life, or do you go after actors, or just like, hey, are you okay kissing a guy, or do you like purposely go?
She's like, I'm not part of the casting.
Nah, that's the casting.
I'm always curious about that.
They're just like, we got this guy. We're like, oh, okay, that's him. Okay.
Right.
Like you wonder if they call agents like, hey, do you have like a real life gay actor that can play a gay character?
Who's not afraid to be like, go in, like, that's no big thing versus, I mean, because I guess there's people who are okay with it, but maybe sometimes.
I typically find that it's the opposite. They choose a straight actor.
Oh, really?
That's what I usually heard. But
All right. That's all I wanted to know. On that note, so that, like I said, I definitely want to see, in terms of obviously how his character continues to develop, because he always is just the levity of the group. He's just always like keeping it real. Let's go to the club, like have a good time type thing. Everybody else has their deep moments and stuff that they're going through. So love Ari, and we'll definitely catch things up with him. So the next thing I want to go into, and this was kind of like a little like minor scene, but I thought it like kind of really encapsulates some things going forward in terms of the characters and their relationships. So the scene where we see David coming in to Bryson and Ari, senior year, has the ring, comes in, Bryson's happy. Oh, congratulations, man. Ari's like, so you gonna break up the crew. And immediately, one thing I actually found interesting about that with David in this scene, in this episode, he didn't really seem like, he had his one religious line where he was like, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens, or whatever. But he wasn't like the ultra religious like he is right now, like when we see him in present day. Yeah. So it was just interesting kind of seeing him in that, that different light. But in terms of with Ari's line about breaking up the crew, I mean, what did you guys think about that? Because I thought it was kind of maybe that's where some of the either fractions in relationships, or things kind of.
Yeah, it's a familiar theme to me, right? Like, you always have that one person in the group that's like, oh, man, why you got to ruin it for the rest of us or whatever. Reminded me, I don't know if you guys remember the movie Brothers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Brothers or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think it was Bill Bellamy, a similar character to Ari, where he
was
always
outrageous.
one, you know, like, why you got to get married? Like, come on now, you know, this is, you breaking the bro code. Like, so I don't know. I just feel like everyone has somebody in their group like that. Either they're feeling shady because they're not the ones getting married, or they really feel like man, our bond, we're really about to be broken up because you're about to get married. We're not going to see you as often. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to have as much fun. So, yeah, I don't know. To me, it was, for me personally, a familiar theme, and I feel like everyone has that out there. So,
yeah, no, it was interesting because, again, like, since we still want to dive more into their background. At least I know a lot of us do. Like, what happened with Crystal and David? Like, why is it, why are they the way they are?
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously here we know they got married young, and now, we see, like, basically senior year of college looks like, at least he proposed, and I'm assuming they got married pretty soon thereafter. And, I don't know. It just seems, that just seemed like kind of I don't know, just kind of an interesting, like, fork in the road, or, like, it was like everything was going good, and then that happened, and it was like, Bryson was happy for him, but it was still kind of like, whoa, like, you doing that for real, And this fly is flying around my face. Trying to get him some airtime. No, you cannot. So, yeah, I definitely...
This has never happened before.
I know. Yeah. For those of you listening to us, we just got, like, this giant fly. He's just trying to make his presence felt, but we're not going to do that. We rebuke you. Fly.
I want to say, too, with that, what we brought to the table with that scene was that Ari finds David's decision to almost be a spotlight on his, right now he's still kind of exploring and not really sure about his sexuality. And, of course, it's the heteronormative, traditions that kind of make him feel insecure. And so for David to now say, I'm getting married, for Ari, it's like, that's what I'm supposed to do. And he looks at it like it's bringing up for him his, like, he's not able to really fully grasp that because he's still, like, exploring himself, and it's bringing up that for him. This is a time when now everything is very accepting, but you have to think about the gradation of acceptance and where we came from, where some things weren't talked about, some things were never really you would rarely get straight men to talk about a gay man, let alone be friends with them. You know what I'm saying? And so, yes, he's in a group of people who are very accepting, but he still has a family back home.
Right.
He still has a perception of himself, probably inward and outward, from other people as well. And so, when he comes in with that ring, it represents for him, like, that's what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
But I don't want. He's very much of a rebel. Like, no, I'm not supposed to do that. And he's just, you're gonna break up the crew. Oh, okay, that's what you're gonna do.
Right.
You're like, really, you really gonna do that? And that's really speaking to him. Because sometimes you can do things. We all know that sometimes you'll be doing something amazing, and you have that one friend that just isn't happy for you. And you're like, or that person or family member, and you're like, well, what did I do to you? But it isn't you. It's that what you're doing is really spotting a light on what they're not doing. And for him, he's like, my mom probably expected me to do that, or my dad is probably expecting me to do that. And you're coming in here talking about you ready to get married now?
Right.
Like, really? Like, it's really not even about David. It's really about him.
And then to speak, piggyback off of that too, it's like, David he's sure about what he wants.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Very
Ari
sure.
is not. And I've been in a position where I've witnessed other friends doing things like getting married or in a relationship, and I'm not gonna lie, I felt a little like, ooh, like, oh my gosh, like, I'm happy for you, but it's like, man, I wish I knew if I was ready for something like that. Like, you know for sure, but I'm in a position where I don't know if I'm ready or not. So.
Sophomore year, they're booed up, him and Crystal. You're like, dang, already,
Right.
And so he's that guy, like David, they're very opposite. You know, like they're very opposite. He's like, I know what I want and this is what I'm getting. But at the same time, it's pretty much the same. Because whatever they want, they go after it. It's just that they're on different paths. That's all.
Which is funny, just because now when you see them in present day, it's like they're just such extremes. How Ari is just like party boy. David's like, I'm the pastor. And then there's Bryson in the middle, and they're both tugging at him all the time.
Yeah.
Come on, man, go out. Be like, you need to come to church. It's like, here we go. Type thing. So, go ahead.
One last point. Going to how we saw David. Like you said, he wasn't as religious previously as he is now, and I feel like that's us seeing his transition into his religion. Like, you know what I'm saying?
A good point.
Like, so we're seeing two different transitions with two different characters. So I actually like that. I like seeing that because you don't start off super religious. At least I don't think you do. I think it's a transition, just like with anything in life.
Right.
It's reminding me of the guy that I fell in love with. He's super religious. But
Back
we're
to
not
him.
gonna go into that.
Bringing it full circle.
Right. That's right.
Man, who is this guy? Are you in the chat out there? Like, come on. Were you going to say something?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to.
I wanted to just say something really
Yes.
quick about that. So David mentioned that he grew up in church, right? So a lot of us, and I say us because it happened to me, a lot of us who grew up in church, when we get to college, we act out, And it's an act out because we've been so sheltered in the world of this is not what you're supposed to do. So when we get here, we have the freedom to do it. We're going to do everything we want to do.
Absolutely.
And then we don't come to the terms of, okay, even though I did all this, God still kept me until after graduation. So that's how that happens.
So you think it's kind of like him coming back into the fold
Yeah,
after
him
college?
coming back into the fold after college because I did the same thing, so I know where he is.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just like that.
Portia
In
Carter
college,
dropping knowledge on folks.
No, for real. Because in college, as a believer in college, it's like you have to battle your social life with your spiritual walk.
Yeah.
And it's like it's always harder to
Juggling
do
both.
your social life because everybody is doing this one thing. Everybody turning up, everybody getting drunk, everybody having sex, everybody's doing everything you're not supposed to be doing as a believer. But it's easy for you to just, blend in with the crowd until your blend in wear off and you realize all those voids that everybody else feeling can't feel you.
Wow.
Or something happens that definitely brings you back.
That definitely brings you back.
Or that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
No, that was a good one.
Yeah, no, that's facts. That's facts.
Big facts.
Now, another thing that I wanted to touch on as well, along with David, was kind of going back to Simone a little bit, and actually specifically the relationship with Prisoner, because I thought it was real interesting that we always, seem to see Simone. She seems pretty confident in herself, always coming around, always telling Bryson, "You trying to tell me what to do? Like I know what to do," type thing. And then to get in the situation with Prisoner where he's just treating her. Even in that short scene, you could tell, like, okay, he is just, she is not in a good situation. Her whole just makeup change, the way she kind of came up to him, like, hey guys, like this, and you were like, this is not Simone, and he's like, how long gonna take? And even that look, I don't know, you guys saw like Crystal's look, like even in the back, like one of the scenes, she was like,
yes,
right, but then she didn't say anything. It was kind of like,
Crystal is the queen, Brittany.
Oh man, she gave that
queen of looks.
She gave that look, and I was like, ooh,
all of her scenes is looks. Like she acts with her eyes and her facial expressions, and I just be like, dang, you said a lot right there. So all she did was roll her eyes.
Right, she's amazing.
Well, it was funny because we had Totona in last week or
Yes.
or two?
No,
Okay,
week before.
Week
Yeah, 2
before.
weeks.
And so we were talking about her like eye rolls and a lot of her like looks, and she was like, yeah, like people would tell me on the internet, like, man, like I felt the look like when you eye rolled on so and so. So Crystal's another one too. You just be like,
they doing it
she
with
just
these
be giving
facial
it the crazy.
expressions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I want to get your guys' take in terms of, like I said, what would get, and maybe you guys can speak to it from a female's perspective, like how Simone, like I said, was projecting like, hey, the strength, and then all of a sudden apparently gets in this relationship and it's just like,
I just didn't like how he's like spoke to her. Like that was something that really bothered me because like now we see Simone as like this strong, independent woman, and like now, but then in the past, she was kind of like trying to figure out where she's at. And to me, I just was like, yo, that's not okay. Especially how aggressive he was, like, and how she was just saying hi to her friend so briefly, and it didn't sit well with me just because I was like, no, like this is not okay. Just from like experiences and just overall. But now I just it's just interesting to see because we see her past and then now we see like what's actually going on in the forefront. So now you see like kind of her transition. Yeah.
Now, do you guys think if you were like the Crystal, like up there, or you saw that, I mean, would you like been the person to speak out, or would it? Because like
facts,
Crystal,
big facts.
Okay, because I'm just saying, because Crystal
But
gave
this
the
isn't
look.
the first time that's happened, though. You know what I'm saying? If he can do that in public, we know this isn't the first time. Crystal's probably been watching this show a million times. Like, girl, here we go. Right. That's why she stood there. She was just like, here we go, you know. But Prisoner is the opposite of her father. I am Simone all day through and through. Like, the way she's operating at that age is exactly how I was operating at that age. And I was definitely pursuing that badass guy. Like, the badder, the better.
Right,
you know?
right.
And that was during the time of the Little Kim and the Biggie and the, you know, it was just, that was what it was. And it was definitely a reflection of my self-worth. It was a worthiness issue. Right. It was definitely a worthiness issue because you see a man like Bryson who is definitely like, girl, he's respectful. Like, come on, he cleaned you up. Like, what in the world? And you don't want that. You're like, oh, girl, no, whatever. He's, you know, I want that one I can't get, you know, because it's a challenge, you know, too, for her as well. But yeah, like he is the opposite. It speaks more to her relationship with her father.
Yeah.
Because remember in the movie, he went after Jacqueline, who definitely denied him.
Right.
Yeah.
He left Holly Berry, you know, Angela on the movie, left her and said, "Can I go to have a meeting with her? Like I'm gonna go do this with her." And she's like, "Oh, like I'm gonna leave and I'm going to be with her."
Right.
The woman who treated him like crap the entire time, like whatever. It's a lot of I think men and women do it both. We do. Like sometimes you're always looking for the thing you can't have. More than the one you know, your kid's right there waiting for you. Right. You know.
Right. That is always.
I wonder why we function like that.
It's bizarre.
We love the chase. We love the chase.
But see, I don't like to chase. Or at least consciously, I don't.
Consciously,
maybe
you don't.
subconsciously, I guess.
But it's very subtle.
Yeah. But I've been in that position where it's like I'm one way with one guy and different with another, and I'm like, why am I more submissive to you than I am to this guy? Why am I? It's like I become, I hate using this word, docile a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just weird. So to see that dynamic, Simone, how she acted with Prisoner, and then versus Bryson, you know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah. Now is this something because I feel like I'm like in a little social study right here. I'm like, oh yeah. Now it was interesting because he talked like rough to her, like, oh, you finished, like come on, like do it. Is there something in that talk that even though it may be like a little rough, you're still like something about it?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. That kind of authoritative.
That's the most.
that is so attractive. It's just the way that you do it. Now, the way he did it.
That was unacceptable.
That was unacceptable.
Yeah, he went too far.
That's so funny. I was just talking about this with a friend. Like when some people out there like to be told what to do in a certain way, right? Like I'm single right now, but if I had a man, like after I get off work and he says, when you get home, make sure you dress up nicely. We're going somewhere. Like not telling me, not asking me. You're telling me. For me, I like that, but it's just the way you do it. It's just the way you do it. So I like a man that's dominant. I like dominant men. I'm just putting it out there.
Okay. Boom. It's been put out there, people.
Okay, girl.
All right.
Take charge.
Well, like I said, let's, like I said, I really enjoyed this episode. I appreciate, all the kind of insight, everything, having Kendra Jo in. Let's kind of move into our predictions for next week.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Let's start off with Miss Portia Carter. What you think gonna go on?
I think Simone and Bryson gonna do it.
Wow! Bomb drop. Yes.
Right?
That's my prediction.
And on that note, so no. Wow.
I'm ready to see, how she feel about what he working with. Well, okay.
Wow.
Next person. Because she
there's definitely like some sexual tension that's there. I want to see Bryson just have some more cojones. I want to see that come out because at this point, seeing the past between them two and how he just keeps getting a dagger in his heart, and that makes people bitter. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how this is going to make Bryson towards the end of the season. Right. So I really want to see how he's going to develop that. So
yeah, I'm going to pick it back off of you, but I just want to see him put his foot down.
Yes.
We saw him do it in a couple episodes, like I think the second one, I believe. But
when they were in the booth
he
rapping,
did it
he was
at
like,
that time.
I got to go.
And I want him to see it.
But then a woman had to tell him to do that too. Tia had to tell him. Stand in your power, Bryson.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
But I just want him to take the lead on him, and like know his worth. Because right now I feel like he doesn't really know. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
For me, I think. It's so hard to tell sometimes with the episodes because you guys jump. It'll be like, hey, it's all the girls tonight, or we'll focus on so and so. So I don't know who might show up next week, but hopefully, I can get some more. Background on I really want to know some more about the David and Crystal relationship and kind of what's going on with them. So we shall see what's going on. But I know it's going to be good, because you guys have not disappointed. So we appreciate it. Kendra, what else, as we kind of come to a conclusion here, what other projects or things can the fans, people kind of check you out?
Working on some things. Yeah.
Anything you can speak on, or kind of like,
no.
Okay. I understand.
Just one question. How does it feel to work with the Emmy Award-winning writer, Lena Waithe?
Lord.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my God. It's a blessing, absolutely.
Yeah.
It is absolutely a blessing. I found out about Lena years ago when she wrote a web series called Hello Cupid on Black and Sexy TV years ago. And I've been following her ever since then.
Wow. And
it's been a blessing to just reach out to her and to go from, I was doing script coverage and being her second assistant, and then I became the writer's assistant on the show and then got an episode.
Wow.
So
congratulations on that.
Thank God.
You went from WA to a whole episode?
Listen.
Look at God. Won't he do it?
Listen, won't he? That's pure, seriously, like God knew exactly the path and the person. To definitely, I thank her all the time. Like, I just say thank you. I know she gets tired of like, girl, please. I'm like, girl, you just don't know. Like, thank you. Because this is a very untraditional, like, trajectory in my life. And I know it's leading to even more because I'm so obsessed with writing.
Nice.
But yeah.
Well, we will definitely be looking out for other projects or whatever you got coming on. We thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
For blessing
so great.
little set here, with some of the goodness from Boomerang.
Amen.
So, well, as we get ready and kind of close things out, where can everybody check you out? Portia?
All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. It's Portia Carter. You can find me on all social media at Portia Carter.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. So glad to be back. You can follow me at The Real Nicole, and that's Nicole with the Y, on Instagram and Twitter.
Hey guys, you can follow me at Missy Bernier on Instagram.
And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at TanirW. So again, you guys have a blessed week. Thanks again. Tune in next week. We will be here discussing the goodness of Boomerang. So we'll look out for you guys. Thanks so much. Take care. Have a blessed week.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.